So now I think I kind of want, well, no, let's have the same. No, I want a different one. We're just gonna have let John Donati do it. Yeah, whatever. Let's do it.
It is more likely than not that a woman that has gone out for dinner with his great uncle to pay respects to the family had her genome contributed to that of him. This chain of descendants reaches into a specific region of Africa called the Litoli Trail. Between the toe print of a million-year-old hominid and his is a good number of years, but Litoli, although only 3 hours' drive away, was an unmeasured stretch of unbounded time in the best days of Homo erectus. The rest of the genome had its form by copying over an original organism from that stretch of unmeasured time. That original was an ancestral animal, and so by now is lost. Indeed, its genome itself has gone extinct. And of that last set of organs from that ancestor, all the human genome has recaptured our bits. In short, is understanding of English and Chinese are there because of the agency of human society, with its computer programs, newspapers, radio, textbooks, teachers, translators, parents, cousins, neighbors, and kin.
Lower the temperature! No, wait.
On his way back,
Lower the temperature.
fertilization always occurs in the egg. If you look at the very beginning of the cell division process that follows fertilization, you'll see a sperm swimming on its own toward a zygote in an unfertilized egg. But there is a process before sperm and egg are actually brought together called meiosis that has been working for 100 billion years, that will continue in perpetuity to give you an egg each month and a sperm each month, and every sperm and egg will combine to make a cell, and then meiosis will go back to work, producing a dozen little fertilized eggs out of each meiosis. What the ancestors of Homo sapiens did was to hasten this process so that while their ancestors, great, etc., grandfathers were swimming around, the ancestors of Homo sapiens had already developed the technology that permitted them to manipulate the genetic information of life that had already been underway for billions of years, and to allow for a change in the process in ways that they did not understand. Sperm expert. Actually, sperm don't swim. It's not a race. That's been part of the patriarchal bias of science. We've been missing the point. We've been talking about swimmers. The truth is that sperm are fish. The fact that they swim is the result of evolutionary forces. Me! No wonder human males are such basket cases. They have no idea where they're going and they can't get there on their own. Sperm expert. Sperm can't swim. The swim runs, or modal sperm, move because they get pulled along by the rhythmic contractions of the male reproductive tract. That's why guys like to lie still after sex. Sperm expert. Don't blame us. The answer is clear. In this species, for the past 1,000 years or so, the male brain has been vastly expanded through massive population growth and is now leading the human race like the white male means business at the head of a patriarchal army. That's why we're conquering the world. The truth is that the sperm in our bodies have become just as big as the sperm that evolved over tens of millions of years to swim as fast as they could around in the sea, and all the sperm can do is move toward a zygote like a slowly waving antenna. Me. If the sperm don't know where to go, how do they know where to go? Sperm expert. Sperm have only one goal. They make new living beings. Like all genes, their behavior is built into the DNA molecule that has been in the making for billions of years before it even reaches the sperm. And so the sperm DNA has a goal of reaching the egg. But there's more to it than that. The sperm DNA is programmed for movement by an evolved mechanism that also exists for just a few billionths of a second. And it is an evolved mechanism that allows for all sorts of small, fast, evolvable changes. Me! I know I'm stupid, but even I can see that if something can be described in evolutionary terms as something that evolved in 250 million years, it's probably not a good description of human male sexual behavior. Sperm expert. To tell you the truth, no one knows for sure. All of this stuff is too complicated and weird. Our brains are as big as whales. And the human species is as fucked up as a banana. But all of those things may be consequences of a mysterious behavior that evolved in just 2 or 3 human generations, in which human males, knowing they have been given a head start at life, said to themselves, "Here is a strange looking piece of meat. I know I'm going to like it, so let's eat it." Me? Wait, how are we as fucked up as a banana? Sperm expert. It's a metaphor. Me? What? Sperm expert. Okay, it's not a metaphor. It's an observation about human behavior that evolved 1,000 years ago, just as our species evolved as a mammal that spoke with a forked tongue. Human females today speak to human males and all sorts of people by raising their voices. Me. Go on. Sperm expert. People used to have trouble seeing with just their 2 eyes. There's an eye that detects color, and it is far away. And there's another eye that detects light. Me. Of course there are 2 eyes. How else could we see with our 2 eyes? Sperm expert. You can't. Each eye is actually a 3-way lens with a 3-way retina. Me. Huh? Sperm expert. By developing these 2 extra eyes that are not located next to the primary pair of eyes, the ancestors of humans gained a second sight for sensing other things as well. But for a long time, our eyes remained too big and focused too much on a distant view. And when we developed language, and after language, writing, and numeration, we made an error and focused on writing instead of speaking. Me. What's this got to do with male genitalia? Sperm expert. The connection is indirect. The human species has evolved so many adaptations to understanding speech and writing that we're more likely to read than to speak. If I were to write this down, I'd type rather than write. Me. Go on. Sperm expert. For the same reason, we prefer to read what others write down on paper and print out, rather than to say it, rather than to speak our own thoughts. But one of the consequences of the developing human brain is a small volume, so it doesn't have to be a fast brain. And this small volume does not have to be a fast brain. This is a problem in our age of high tech. Me. How so? Sperm expert. Because we evolved to make sex and make children as quick as possible. Me. I can see how a male sperm or egg cell takes 48 hours to make. It's kind of hard to see how that applies to the human species today. Sperm expert. We don't actually live 24 hours a day. But it takes only 1 minute for every minute of our 24 hours, 52 times in a year for every year of our life. So you can see that if we started making babies the way our ancestors did, the world would be full of children in 19 minutes. And the next generation would have babies in 6 minutes. And in another generation, 4 minutes. Me. You're getting way off track. I thought this was going to be about sperm and eggs. Sperm expert. It's not off track at all. Me. Sperm expert. And once your average sperm got too quick and got out of control, there wasn't much of a way for a human male to slow down and be a slow and careful lover. But once the human male understood writing and was able to communicate with the women in writing and said to himself, why don't I go write down all the ways that women enjoy being fucked, and I'll have her reading it within a minute, and I'll be getting a hand job in a minute. This gave rise to new desires. Me. What was this document written on? Sperm expert. Paper. And sperm. I'm an artisanal expert in sperm paper. Me. Please. Sperm expert. I know. It's not my field of study. It's just that my brother in another part of my mind is obsessed with how these two different materials interact. Sperm on paper makes sense to me. I find myself able to connect things on a visceral level. And there's this sort of subtle tactility involved. I mean, the sperm's there, on the paper, and it's alive. And the paper is so thin that you can actually see through it in places. Me. I'm not even going to ask why you know this stuff. Sperm expert. Thanks. Me. Why is this paper necessary? Sperm expert. Because we evolved to make babies as fast as possible. The great apes do the same thing. We mate at high speed. We call this activity copulation, and our scientists still don't know anything about the mechanism by which copulation occurs, even after 1,000 years of doing the scientific thing to everything that walks or crawls or slithers. Me. So what about the paper? Sperm expert. When I came home tonight for my afternoon's work with human sperm, I knew that I was going to give this job to my brother. In the year, I have come to know my brother. But that job of his takes 48 hours. Me, please. Sperm expert. As for me, it takes the equivalent of about an hour and 48 minutes. Me, I can see that. So we have to look to our ancestors for the answer. Sperm expert. For 50 million years. It's very long and it's very strange. In one place, in one part of our ancestral genome is the DNA sequence for this operation. It's like the controls that go along with the playback of a film, a movie that doesn't yet exist. And our ancestors, genetic ancestors, didn't know about the things that happened to their ancestors today, but they know about our ancestors. Me. You work with sperm, but not the people attached to them? Sperm expert. Of course, we are not attached to sperm. That's preposterous. Me. How many copies do you make? Sperm expert. The single sperm contains 3 copies of the DNA molecule. The first copy contains the information of a male. It says, go this way. The second copy contains the information of the female. It says, here I am. Me. Isn't that redundant? Sperm expert. Don't be naive. The human sperm cell must work with all the available information at his disposal. Me. So this one cell with the information of both males and females. Sperm expert. That's right. He's in a highly specialized and delicate and rather combustible and dangerous state. It's as if he's a head of state traveling in a tank car to visit a city of over 5 million. And when the train reaches the city, He finds that he's supposed to stay in an empty shed in an out-of-the-way part of town that you know is dirty and dangerous, but you also know you have to trust that they won't accidentally explode the train on which he travels and destroy all of you. Me. All this seems way too binary to be actually nature, you know? Where do you get your funding? Sperm expert. There's plenty of money out there for this kind of thing. It's a public service. Me. Did you know about the sperm to paper thing before it happened? Sperm expert. Oh no. I am still waiting for the Nobel Prize. It's going to come from Japan, though. And we won't receive a copy. Me. Will I get the Nobel Prize? Sperm expert. Maybe not. You need to make another career choice. Me. Where did the idea for this come from? Sperm expert. I've been doing research into sperm and sperm paper for about a year now. I don't know exactly. My research started to pay off about a month ago. We haven't published, though. I wanted to save that for a moment when everyone would be ready to hear the good news. And you're here and the right people have shown up. So here I go. We are in the midst of a great adventure of human history. Me. Isn't the Nobel Prize more about work that's been like years and decades in the making? Sperm expert. Very interesting idea. But that's not what happens. It takes about 15 years for an idea to get any kind of result. And most people who receive the Nobel Prize for physics do so because their idea works for about 1 day out of the month. Me. So you found the one idea that's going to be important for the rest of the human race. Sperm expert. I wish we could tell you more about it. May. Tell it to me as though I were on the Nobel Prize panel. Winks deeply. Sperm expert. Quick reminder, it's like we have been working with a big pile of red pepper flakes. Now we have to get some kind of understanding of this pepper flakes or everything goes down the drain. So we try a quick little experiment and put the pepper flakes in a bag and give it to a parakeet and it comes back alive. We're stunned. But then we see that when we pour pepper flakes out of the bag onto the bird table, the parakeet doesn't want to come back inside. And after we remove all the pepper flakes from the bird table, the parakeet comes back inside. May, can I put some pepper flakes in my bag? Sperm expert, please don't. It's all about getting this one right. We're trying to get back to the first idea and make sense of it all. You would do well to play your role in this research. It will change everything. Me. How? Sperm expert. You're not being much help, are you? We're looking for answers. And you're just asking questions. But everything is already over. Now that we're finally getting a grip on what is going on, there's not much else for you to do. Me. Huh? Sperm expert. The experiment's done. That's all you need to know. And there's no answer that you are going to be able to come up with that's going to do the trick. Me. I can't believe it. Is this true? Did I just go back in time? Am I not at home, but instead on a different planet? And is there really going to be no Nobel Prize? And is the whole of human history going to change? Sperm expert. This is something that's already over, because there's not much left for you to do. This is why human history is going to change so much in the coming years. Our whole world is going to change. The whole life everywhere on this planet is going to change too. Me. Who do I talk to in the Nobel Committee? Sperm expert. This has nothing to do with the Nobel Prize. In the coming years, many things will change, but you can't see any of them because you are not around, and it will take many, many years to happen, and then only gradually, and your world will not change dramatically. But no matter what else happens, there's not going to be any Nobel Prize. We know it, and you know it too. Me! You, sir, have just lost a zygomatic resource. Sperm expert. That's a wonderful idea. So many years we've waited, and so much time we've wasted on all that paper writing about fucking. And the only one that ever pays attention to any of that stuff is you. It's gone. No Nobel Prize. We're trying to build a whole new world, and that's what's going to be important for us from now on. Me? Isn't there going to be a Nobel Prize? I am crushed. You just cruelly thrown me back into the world from which I have been cast out by my own desire for fucking and getting laid, and now you are trying to take away my one remaining dream. I will fight for my one and only wish in this life. Sperm expert. For what? Me. What do you mean? For what? I don't want to die a spinster, for heaven's sake. My sisters are older than I am, and I'll be 42 years old before very long. Have you tried the Eurovision Song Contest? You get a fabulous opportunity to screw as many women as you like. Sperm expert. We're not going to be competing against other countries for this. We're just going to build up our own resources as best we can and make the world what we want it to be. Me. Why does it have to be men that do that? I have read that you are not, in fact, men. Sperm expert. I'm not. I am a human, not a human. Me. Okay. Look, what's the point of this? What are you saying? Sperm expert. The point is that there are all sorts of people everywhere that are saying all kinds of things, and they're all talking nonsense. All of these people are coming from long lines of people, and so on and so on. And our great problem is that we're not all of one mind. And I think there's going to be no Nobel Prize for a while. The two parted. Then the sperm expert immediately signed his team up to the Eurovision Song Contest.
Hold on, let's see if I have the, let's see if we have a special, one of the special characters. Or you know what, hold on. Yerk Wiki. Gonna find it in the Yerk Wiki. There we go. That's what I was looking for. The right character could be everything. Less than 3-minute song about sperm paper.
They wrote the snappy less than 3-minute song about sperm paper.
Hold on.
Representing Iceland For the team at many in the Gutman-Stoddard lineage,
Oh,
they
yay.
wrote this snappy, less than 3-minute song about sperm paper. Sperm paper is made of sperm. It is very special stuff. It's very strong and so romantic. And it smells so fucking cool.
No, it doesn't.
It's such an efficient thing. You'll need some sperm to get by. If you can't get sperm to make your paper, you just won't make any more, ever. If you use sperm just in small amounts, then you'll have a good paper, 'cause your paper will be fine. I can recommend you to a friend, or one you already have, though your paper might not be quite as good as mine. You should make up your own, if you don't mind me saying. Although for your paper, you'll need to get some sperm. That is how you make the stuff that you should make. You should try it out, or not, as the case may be. It is not for me to say.
There we go.
Sidus papier dur CD. Fatter and jogs.
Hold on.
The song was sung in the original Icelandic. Sidus papier dur CD. Fatter and jogs sir stack defni. Fatter and jogs sturt agus feel romantist. Og fad lictorus feel helviti fla. Thad urzu duggelgur tlucher. Thurfarf small CD till at komastaf. Forget your eki fingid CD till ad butil. Platted thin, thermon bar eki butil. Langer old taf. A thurnoder CD bar I litlum. A feedier, thalmuntu haffa. Got plaid, had platted thin. Verdior I logi. For example, get mail med ikker tvimer vidvin. Ein sunthura for new figure. Though bladed thitsi thank
Example?
hensky egg. All the chaff and god augmin. Third edir ad butil thana igen. If there are some ad for example segi. Oh firier bladed fit. Their tharf dad fosma CD. Fatter each burning their carrier doted ad. Thur edir ad gera. Thur edir ad profa thad. Eda eki eftir ad ficum. Thadder eki mid ad seja. Thadder each for a fridriad ad ficum. For example, edir ad gelignan dad. Goddess juice new dueti for new gatti.
Snoo.
The team failed to win first place in the song contest, which they came in at 61st.
Oh.
They won a silver cup for the best song in the non-qualifiers, which was a special award for them since they had just finished a 2-year disqualification for cheating by using non-sperm paper in their experiment. But their song went on to inspire a whole new movement of creative expression by men. The nasal cry of the aha and the hoarse staccato "ea" have become catchphrases throughout Iceland and other northern lands of Europe. And if you can get a look at their booklet, you'll see it's illustrated with stick figures of the human genitals. And they put their money where their mouths were by becoming the founding fathers of the city of New Sperm Town.
At least there's that.
Iceland and all that lives there is made of sperm and has sperm and wants to make more of themselves. I should begin by saying that I'm a lover, not a fighter. My first love is literature, and I'm not too interested in the idea of battling with someone or something for my place. I am all the one who is passionate about an ideal, for I love people who see something new and who strive to create something new. I can take or leave the idea of my own importance in the world or what people think of me.
Um,
Now come along and let us go to the pub in central Sperm Town and kick back a few flagons of frothy spermy mead. Mead is a beverage made by fermenting honey, water, and various kinds of berries or grains. In Iceland and many other countries in Northern Europe, it is called homari, but I like to think of it as a pale ale mead, like Sam Adams, but without the bitter taste of an IPA. But I digress, for this is not my tale. And we are in the pub. A frothy mug is raised for the toast to the sperman who dreamed sperm paper dreams.
I like how there was no man in the Chinese room whatsoever. Okay.